What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here with your second stimulus check update. It looks like Nancy Pelosi and Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin are going to have a deal over the next stimulus package and the next stimulus check as they bring in a mediator over their meetings. And also, we have some surprisingly good news from President Donald Trump regarding the stimulus checks, but maybe not so good of news regarding his virus symptoms. But first, don't forget to smash the like button for us down below. It really helps out our channel. My wife and I do all the research for you every single day so we can bring you all the current up-to-date stimulus check and related news in a quick, concise video. And if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe down below so you don't miss out on new information about when the check is going to come out, possible unemployment extension update, and all the related news. Okay, first up, U.S. House of Representatives and leader of the Democrats, Nancy Pelosi, and Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin, who is the main negotiator for the Republicans, have spoke again, this time including Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell, over what seems to be the final details of the negotiations over the second stimulus check, the unemployment extension update, and the full stimulus package. It seems they brought the Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell into the discussions to negotiate, basically mediate the last final details before they have an actual agreement. And there's also some news that they're going over the actual wording that they want to put in the bill to satisfy both the Republicans and the Democrats. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell is likely mediating between the last few details that hasn't been agreed on between the Republicans and the Democrats to pass the final stimulus package, and that is the amount of money for states and cities. Currently, the Democrats have come all the way down from $950 billion for states and cities to $436 or $417 billion, depending on how you look at it, and the Republicans are up to $250 billion, so they're likely going to meet in the middle somewhere around 350 or 325 billion dollars for states and cities to iron out that details and iron out the language of that. Remember, after they get the agreement, they have to actually draft a bill, just like the Democrats just drafted their Heroes Act 2.0, and the Republicans also came out with their bill earlier this week, about 2-3 days ago. Their bill was $1.6 trillion. So when they come to an agreement between the 2.2 and the 1.6, whether it's at 1.9 or $2 trillion, they're going to have to come up with the wording that satisfies both parties after they get the verbal agreement. And they're already discussing the details of what's going to go in that wording to try to basically speed up that process. Current staff reports are that Nancy Pelosi and Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin are trading documents and sample wording for the actual bill that will satisfy both sides. Now, there are some Republicans that are not happy that the bill is going to go higher than $1.6 trillion and be either at $2 trillion or near $2 trillion. President Donald Trump had previously said that he was willing to go up to $2 trillion, and whether you like it or not, there's going to be some Republicans that vote no on this when the final vote comes, no matter what. Remember, the Democrats only need 13 votes from the U.S. Senate to pass this bill into law. They only need they need all the Democrats and 13 votes from the Republicans and the 2 independent votes who normally vote with the Democrats anyways. So only 13 votes are needed from Republicans in the Senate to pass this stimulus package. With that being said, we've actually had a lot of news from Mitch McConnell within the last 24 hours, and we haven't really heard much from him previously. First, he said he was very optimistic that a deal was actually going to get done, which basically shocked the world, because when has Mitch McConnell been optimistic of a stimulus package getting done? And after that, Mitch McConnell actually put the Senate on recess or partial recess because of Republican senators coming down with the virus after meeting Trump at the White House, which is said to be the source of infecting dozens of people and possibly the place where President Donald Trump got it. So let me tell you about what the Senate's doing, and it's not the end of the world, don't panic, but let me show you so that you're at least in the know. Senate Majority Mitch McConnell will move to delay the Senate's return for 2 weeks after 3 lawmakers test positive for the virus. Mitch McConnell said that the Senate will not return until October 19th. Don't panic. And we will meet only in pro forma sessions for the next 2 weeks, allowing a small number of lawmakers to be on Capitol Hill. Previously scheduled floor activity will take place after October 19th. Mitch McConnell said in a statement he intends to obtain a consent agreement to have the chamber go on hiatus until October 19th, meaning that Democrats can object to the move. The Senate was in session last week and had been scheduled to return this coming Monday. The announcement comes after Senators Mike Lee, a Republican from Utah, Tom Tillis, a Republican from North Carolina, and Ron Johnson, a Republican from Wisconsin, all tested positive for the virus. Lee and Tillis are members of the Senate Judiciary Committee and were at the White House last Saturday for President Trump's announcement that he was picking Judge Amy Coney Barrett as his Supreme Court nominee. The absence of the 4 Republican lawmakers cuts down Mitch McConnell's normal majority lead from 53 to just 49 senators. Couple things here. First, a slight majority doesn't really matter in the Senate because you actually need 60 votes in the Senate to pass the filibuster rule, which basically says that you need 60 votes in the Senate to pass a law or else it can be debated forever. In the House of Representatives, you only need one more vote than 50% to pass a bill, and that's why Democrats can pass it all by themselves in the House, even though they have a very slim margin of votes. Next thing is, this doesn't really matter. So first of all, it's probably a good thing that they're going to have very limited meetings in the Senate because honestly, we don't want them spreading the virus all around themselves, okay? The next thing is that if they come to an agreement from Nancy Pelosi and Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin, which honestly, I'm going to go on record and say this, they're closer now than they ever have been, and I honestly think they're going to come to a deal. I mean, if everything that we're hearing is true, it looks like they're just ironing out the final details of the bill. And it looks like they're going to have a deal reached within, I don't want to say 48 hours, but within the next few days. So I'm going to go on record. I honestly think this is it. I think they're coming to the final agreement. I think this is going to be that they're going to have an actual agreement. Once they have an agreement between Nancy Pelosi and Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin, so first of all, the agreement doesn't mean all the Republicans will vote for it, but when Steve Mnuchin agrees to it, he's talking with the president every day, even though the president's now at the hospital. He's talking with him either phone, conference call. He was meeting with him every day. We're going to talk about that in a second, how Steve Mnuchin doesn't have the virus yet, but there's a lot of false positives at the beginning when you first get tested for the virus where you can have the virus but not test positive for that. I'll tell you about that here in a second. But once they have an agreement, Nancy Pelosi will just basically say to all her Democrats, all right, we're going to agree to this next bill. Remember, the Democrats just passed the bill in the House, so the vast majority of them are for it anyways, okay? Then they're going to need just 13 votes from the Republicans in the Senate. If Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin agrees to it, Donald Trump will agree to it because they're basically, talking back and forth and saying the same thing to each other. Then they will have an agreement and they'll have to put it in writing and then vote on it. They'll vote on it very quickly. The House will vote on it, pass it, and then what will happen in the Senate might be a little iffy because the House has a bill that they passed previously where they can remote vote. Okay, so they can actually have an aide vote for them. The actual House representative doesn't need to be there. So a representative from California doesn't necessarily have to fly back because they can have an aide vote for them in the Capitol. Okay, but most of them probably fly back. Well, I don't know about most of them, but they can vote remotely basically in the House. The Senate doesn't have that. Okay, they have a hybrid system, but they don't actually have remote voting. But they may have to actually pass a bill really quickly. And again, the Senate can just pass, they could just have a meeting and pass it right then and there, that they might have to allow remote voting now that there's 3 or 4 Republican senators who have the virus, okay? The other thing is they may actually call everybody back within 24 hours once the House passes the bill to have the Republicans vote on it, and the people who have the virus actually have it may either not be able to vote or have to have an aide vote for them, even though it's technically not allowed. So they'll have to figure out something there to actually do the voting, or maybe they'll just vote without those 3 or 4 people, and those 3 or 4 people won't show up. But the concern is that because they've been meeting in the Capitol, that more people might have it, and it might have spread to more people, but they haven't tested positive for that yet. President Donald Trump actually from the hospital pushed for a new stimulus package, which surprised a lot of people that he's actually still doing this from the hospital. President Donald Trump pressed lawmakers and members of the administration to reach an agreement on a new stimulus package as he receives treatment for the virus. He tweeted out, "Our great USA wants and needs stimulus. Work together and get it done. Thank you." The president's push for a deal comes as his own diagnosis has sparked new pressure on Washington to pass a package to help an economy still in the throes of the fiscal fallout from the pandemic. Republican leader in the Senate, Mitch McConnell, says, "I'm trying to figure out here whether I should predict another bill quickly or not. But the talks have speeded up in the last couple days, and I think we're getting closer to an outcome." And honestly, there's only a few minor details how much unemployment they're going to come out with. The Republicans want $400 per week, and the Democrats want $600 per week. So they might compromise at $500 per week. I mean, the important thing is that we get it done. They both want the stimulus checks of $1,200 and $500 for all dependents. So both sides are in agreement for that. The only other major hurdle that isn't even that major anymore is the money for states and cities, which they can just make a compromise between the last $200 billion, which in the scheme of all this is actually not that much anymore. I mean, it used to be $500 to $700 billion, and they've basically come 80% of the way, and they're ironing out these last few details with Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell. So it seems like we're right on the steps of having an agreement within the next 24 to 48 hours, but I don't want to get too excited, but everything I'm reading and seeing says that we are basically at a deal right now. You guys can let me know your thoughts down below, but I doubt they would be trading documents and papers to come up with the final wording of the deal if they weren't this close, and now including Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell to iron out the last few details. But let me know your thoughts down below in the comments, and make sure to hit the thumbs up button for us, and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out. I'm going to have details for you guys coming out about all this as information comes out. We typically have videos going live at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Click the bell icon next to the subscribe button down below if you want to be notified when we go live. Click the bell and then click all notifications. You can click on this video to watch my newest stimulus check videos next. And this video teaches you how to start a business selling products on Amazon FBA. I have students that have replaced their entire 9-to-5 income by selling products on Amazon, and I teach them how to do that. Click on one of those videos to watch them next. Thanks, and I will see you in the next video.